So this is the finished product of my bone soup. There is fat on the top, and then you can see the gelatin is on the bottom, the broth. I am going to be freezing this, and then I'm going to make one of my fat bomb soups using this and some broth as a base. This is bone broth, but I'm not going to make the whole thing a bone broth soup. It will have mushrooms in it, probably duck fat. I'm really going to push hard this weekend on upping my fat intake and lowering my protein. But my bone broth soup is cooled and ready, and there's tons of fat and tons of, you can see the glistening. I'll actually start packaging this and I'll show you the bottom of the pan. Bye. As you can see, I broke up the fat. I'm packaging it in the small containers that I'm going to freeze of the the bone broth soup. I left a few pieces of fat in it because keto is all about fat. You're supposed to have 70% to 80% fat. I haven't been doing that, but today is day 5, and as of tomorrow, as of like now, I will be getting most of my fat in. But I'm going to freeze this. This can be frozen up to a year. It can stay in the refrigerator for 3 to 4 days, I think. It's probably longer than that, but you know, people like to be careful. I am going to freeze most of this and then make my soup. So I have packaged my bone broth, and I have the fat that was on top. A lot of people skim it, but I keep it because you need it for the keto diet. I know my fat looks green. It's green for a reason. Bone broth is good for your hair and your skin and your nails and just your body as a whole. I added some I can't even say it now, fenugreek, to help with my boobs. I know I pronounced it right the first time, and I have like no carb brain right now, so I'm sorry. All right. Okay, so this is what I'm working with for my soup. It's going to be a mushroom soup. I don't have any meat, so it will just be bone broth and mushroom soup. This is the bone broth I made. I'm going to add some beef broth to it. It's fenugreek. That's what I was trying to say earlier. But that's the end of my bone soup and bone broth, and it will be made into a soup. And the rest of it is going to be frozen. Alright, right now I am sauteing my onions. I have turmeric, salt, pepper. Black pepper actually brings out the health qualities of turmeric by 1,000. I have cumin in it, and I'm going to put some, I already did put some cayenne pepper. I lied. I said it was just going to be a bone broth, beef broth, mushroom soup, but I decided to make bacon and put it in there. And I'm actually frying this in duck fat. So duck fat it is. I have portobello and button mushrooms, white button mushrooms here. I destemmed the baby portobellos because I'm just in a mood and ripping things up. I just didn't want to keep it. I was like, nah, not today. Stems are gross. Usually I keep the stems because it's good for you, but I just didn't want to. But you know, so there's white button mushrooms and baby portobello mushrooms. All right, and this is going in the pot now. So I have added the mushrooms after the onions got a little color. I forgot to add my garlic, and I got to add that. Okay, I have added a half a bowl of garlic. Not a half clove, half the bowl. And you can see the duck fat is really cooking this stuff good. My bacon got a little bit more done than I want it to be, but I'll taste it before I put it in the soup. I think the soup needs something in it besides mushrooms and onions. So here's the garlic, the onions, the mushrooms. There's like a creamy kind of broth to it. Of course, there's that fat. So it's like almost a gravy. And now I'm going to add, ta-da, my beef bone broth. Actually, it's the bone broth, but it was made out of beef. You'll see if you look at the other video. Yes, it still has some of the fat on it. I wanted the fat there. And, God, I just lost... Oh, I actually showed in the other video that I was freezing 4 of those containers of this stuff. But I decided that I'm making enough so that more people can eat it than just me. So there you go. I got rid of one of the 4. So there's only 3 frozen. The bone broth has been added. Everything is actually just cooled down. It was simmering big time, but now it's all cool. The green is actually the fat that I cooked in the God, why can't I ever say that word? Fenugreek. I guess my brain just won't accept it. Anyway, now the green is gone because the fat has dissolved, and we're gonna add more fat and more broth that I didn't make, but broth that I added that I bought from the store. I made this broth though. I made this bone broth, and you can see that in another video. Okay, so this is a different version of my fat bomb soup. I had my own homemade bone broth, and I'm adding chicken broth to it. Now, the bones that I used were beef, and I have a ton of beef broth that I could add to it, but I like chicken broth more. I've made a beef broth soup and a chicken broth soup, and this will be the first time I've made one with mainly the bone broth that I made homemade. And I just want to stretch it a little, so I'm adding the chicken broth. Now, as you can see, some of my bacon got way overdone. I prefer my bacon like this. If I get my bacon like this in a restaurant, I'm usually sending it back. But I tasted it, and the flavor actually, I think, will hold up in the soup. It's not like a burnt taste. It's crispy, but it's not a burnt taste. It has kind of an umami taste to it. But yeah, so I was supposed to eat this and actually have this on, I will have this on my Instagram saying that I ate this. I didn't, but you can see there's still 4 left. I think I only ate 2 because I can't eat that much on this diet. Okay, so this is the soup when it is, when it has the bone broth with the chicken broth mixed in with everything else. So I don't call it fat bomb soup for nothing. I'm putting a whole thing of cream cheese and a whole thing of pure Irish butter into the soup. I'm going to do that now. So this is what it looks like with just the cream cheese and the butter. I'm adding a little apple cider vinegar for acidity, and because I can't add wine. Okay, second to last, pretty much last, because I still don't know if I'm going to add the bacon or not. I'm going to add the bacon, let's be honest. The bacon is going to go in last. But second to last is the heavy cream. This is a 16 fluid ounces. And I might actually add another one of these. It depends on how creamy it is, but this is a fat bomb soup, so I want to make sure we have as much fat in this as possible. Okay, this fat bomb bone broth soup actually looks creamy enough. I'm just gonna let this simmer for a long time. And I'm gonna add the bacon. I'm gonna show you the bacon, and then when I plate, I'll film that too. As you can see, I have added the bacon. Two of the pieces might be almost whole because, you know, I'm tired. But the bacon looks good in there, and I'm just gonna let this simmer for a few hours. And while I wait, I will do Halloween decorations. Put a lid on top of this thing. I decided to put this in the oven on slow cooker, low, because I am gonna start with the Halloween decorations. But it's in here. Ow. Right there. And it'll be ready for me when I get back. As you can see, I have added the bacon. Two of the pieces might be almost whole because, you know, I'm tired. But the bacon looks good in there, and I'm just gonna let this simmer for a few hours. And while I wait, I will do Halloween decorations. Put a lid on top of this thing. Alright, it is time for me to eat my bone broth with chicken broth soup. I made the bone broth from scratch, and that should be in a different video. I might put the videos together, I'm not sure. But this is my first taste. This is really good. It's peppery. Last time I did this, it was creamier, but I added twice as much butter and twice as much cream cheese. And I also had chicken in it. This time the only meat is bacon, and of course the bone broth. The reason why I didn't add the extra cream cheese is because, and the extra butter, is because I did do a bone broth. Started that was my starter, and then I added to it. So I'm gonna eat now. This is good.